Hey, Randy Joe here, and welcome back to the channel where today we are going to kick off one of the most important discographies, I would argue, in rock music history, as a successor to the last series we did where we listened to every single Pink Floyd album from the beginning of their discography towards the end. We just finished that off quite recently. You can go ahead and check that out if you're interested on the channel. I thought, it was only appropriate to follow up, the Pink Floyd discography with an equally as important and equally as, I would say, critically acclaimed and powerful discography in the prog rock genre, that, of course, being the King Crimson discography. And today, of course, kicking it off will be In the Court of the Crimson King. Real quick, if you want to see the full unedited reaction of this LP, check out the description below. You can go see my Patreon for $5 a month. You get every single album reaction I've done this year, completely unedited for $5. So that's King Crimson, that's Pink Floyd, that's everything I've covered on the channel. Released in 1969, this is technically, by many people's opinion, to be the first ever prog rock album, combining elements of course, rock music, as well as jazz, classical music, and in some sense, I would argue, ambient music. I am quite familiar with this record, so today's video will actually be a re-reaction. I've listened to this album for many years. It was one of the first, prog rock albums, maybe the first prog rock album in general, that I ever heard many years ago. But of course, with listening to their entire discography for the first time, we have to kick it off with In the Court. So, like I said, not a first reaction, but every album after this one will be, except for, once again, the album Red. Already did a reaction for that last year as part of my Rocktober series, where I listened to a bunch of rock albums for the first time, and I listened to Red among that grouping, and I loved Red. I think it's a phenomenal, must-listen-to prog rock album, and a great King Crimson project, of course. So, In the Court, as well as Red, I've already heard, so when I get to Red in this discography, run through, I will skip over that and go to the next one. But if you want to check that video, again, it's in the description down below, and it's also on my channel. But without further ado, let's get into it. In the Court, very important record for many reasons, thematically dealing with themes of the Vietnam War at the time and the politics of the time especially, and of course also just being a groundbreaking record for music at large by blending so many incredibly important genres. With that all being said, let's get into it. 21st Century Schizoid Man, arguably the best one here. Not, in my opinion, it's not the best. I think there's one higher than this one, maybe two higher than this one. I'm not sure. It's a great record, though, and this is, by most people's standard, a perfect album from beginning to end. So let's get into it. 21st Century Schizoid Man. The sirens, the urgency starting right off the bat here. Such a quiet start for something that becomes pummeling in an instant. Here it is. Oh! Just right into it. Man. The drumming, too, from Michael Giles here. Incredible. Love the effect on Greg Lake's voice. Has this double backing feature to it. Those horns just cut through the mix with such violent intensity. Just like that. Which you could thank Ian McDonald for being, the bulk of the woodwind instruments as well as the incredible horn work. And I love that snare fill there. Incredible. Great arrangement. Zigzags all around. Love how kind of intense the kind of anxiety-inducing rhythm is of this. Really adds to that schizophrenic style. I can't help but notice the kind of jazz rock kind of intensity that comes through this mix, especially having listened to Red in full at this point. The album, or the track Starless on there, really has that jazz rock explosion, and it feels like that was pulling a lot from this first track. Of course, jazz rock is really just deep within the King Crimson genes, clearly, but just an interesting sort of tidbit I noticed there is just how evident this DNA carries through to Red. Love the way it's so skittery and keeps you hanging on, this part. You're like, where's it going? Try following it. You can't. But it's such a bouncy, kind of groovy rhythm here. Incredible solo there from Michael Giles on the drums there. Just absolutely takes it away. Love the screeching, crashing sound of Fripp's guitar. Such a nasty drop there. Probably the most just like abrupt, in your face, loudest drop of the track. The final drop really just beats you over the head with it. Oh, I've always liked this part. Oh, the overwhelming just cacophony of sounds there, all crashing towards each other at the end, really kind of encapsulates the kind of message of the track, the madness of the Schizoid Man. Just such a huge, overwhelming explosion of sound, to the point where it kind of loses all sense of, I would say, kind of rhythm or structure. And again, to me, flies off the rails, much in the same way that, maybe a Vietnam vet would after losing his mind from such war crimes and just madness, I guess, instilled into him. Let's go into track 2, I Talk to the Wind. A nice, gentle follow-up to something that was so insane and frantic. And I love I Talk to the Wind. I think this is a beautiful one. Love the flute work on it, which I believe that is Ian MacDonald once again. Love how lonely this one feels. Very melancholic. And It's such a gentle, kind of jazzier track on the LP. This flute carries the whole track to such a sweet, almost breezy kind of atmosphere. Also love that line. You don't possess me, don't impress me, just upset my mind. Again, maybe some ramblings of a madman. I would argue, I Talk to the Wind is an even better track than 21st Century Schizoid Man. I know that might be a hot take to some, but I've always admired just the kind of simplicity of this one in the mix, especially after such an intense track. I really love just how sweet this one is on the ears while still delivering on similar themes.
Just upset my mind. The wind cannot hear.
Love the double vocals on this one too. Greg Lake, Ian McDonald singing together. A good complementive effort from the two of them. And this flute here. So whimsical.
Where have you been? I've been here and I've been there and I've been in between.
Again, their vocals together sound fantastic. Not too distinct from one another. Kind of lets them blend together as one. And you think it ends? And it just takes it away. Ian McDonald. Once again, flexing his flute skills. The drumming of Michael here cannot be understated as well. He does a great job providing such a steady, concrete backbone that matches the kind of mellow mood of the track. And that is a great one. A great follow-up to 21st Century Schizoid. And I would argue a better track. Let's go into Epitaph with this incredibly dramatic open. And this is maybe the most, I would argue the most dramatic of the batch. Maybe the last track's more dramatic, but this one really does have a sense of kind of melodrama to it all. Love the acoustic on this one too. Got a real dramatic, almost battle-scarred sense of lyricism. And this line. Incredibly palpable, the drama. Very theatrical. I love Greg Lake's vocals on this one. They got a bit more restraint on them, yet still have that same sense of theatrical epicness that maybe the opener has. And I forget how crashing this gets. Oh my goodness, I forgot about that one. What a rising climax. And I love the immediate contrast with the acoustic coming in by Robert Fripp, I would imagine, is on acoustic. Yeah, of course. Almost feels like some sort of funeral march, really. There's a oozing death from this whole track. I love the dread that comes through here, this crying. And those keys too. They're like beeping and violent. Oh. And they're all just... It's more aggressive in the mix. Love the howling-like delivery of that final crying. It's very like haunting and desperate. I love Epitaph. Incredible track. My only, I guess, complaint is I do feel it runs a little long in a way. It takes its time for that final sort of mix of a climax of sounds. But I mean, as far as lengthy tracks go, that maybe could be trimmed a little bit of its fat, I should say. There's really no more of a example of that than maybe Moonchild. We're getting into Moonchild here. It's 12 minutes and 13 seconds. A very controversial track when it comes to music discourse online. It seems like a lot of people either love this track and will defend every minute of it to their dying breath, or you'll see people who will rip into this thing and say it shouldn't even be on the album whatsoever. I'm kind of caught in the middle. I think there are some elements of Moonchild as we get into it that are really strong and really great. I really just think it needs to be trimmed, at least a little bit, because it does run 12 minutes, and it does get to the point where, it feels like they were kind of just farting around on their instruments for a little bit. But maybe that's the abstract nature of it all. Maybe that's them playing with the concept of what is progressive music, really. Let's get into it. Moonchild. I love the vocals on this one. I love the lyrics. But compared to the runtime, they're fairly minimal.
Dancing in the shallows of a river, talking to the trees of the cobweb string.
This one's got a bit of a almost like fairy tale-esque folky style to it too that I really like.
Waving silver wands to the night bird song.
Feels like a nice fantasy land.
Waiting for the sun on the mountain.
It's always reminded me of almost like a Lord of the Rings-esque world with the fantastical feeling to it all. Love the imagery here.
Sailing on the wind in a milk white gown.
Milk white gown. What a great
Circles
descriptor.
on a sundial, waiting for a smile from a sun.
Like, you can't deny just the beauty of the lyricism here. It does feel very poetic in this fantasy-esque world. Now, it's still playing, keep in mind. 2 minutes, 40 seconds. We got about another 10 minutes on this track, which is where I think it starts to struggle to maintain the energy of it all. But this is where I'd argue it kind of hones in maybe on a little bit of ambience, more atmosphere than a structured song. And right here, you're like, maybe it's going somewhere. Don't get me wrong, the guitar work there, I believe it's guitar, electric possibly, sounds very beautiful, sounds very gentle. But with no sense of purpose. Yep. Testing those instruments. This is the sound check you hear before a concert, you know? A little bit of meandering. I don't hate it. What an iconic photo, or album art, I should say. Love this one. Love that you can see the paint strokes. Makes it very clear that it is a actual, tangible painting. And if this isn't, a Schizoid Man, what is? The only track with a vibraphone is this one here. Maybe Ian McDonald was just insistent on playing the vibraphone. Man, does he play? Oh. They got ya. They got me. Is that a semblance of an idea there? I think Michael on the drums here is getting a little antsy. We're 10 minutes in. Again, the final verse there was what, 2.5 minutes. What a verse it was. And that's just it. I think something like this, it could be trimmed down, restructured, make it roughly 4 minutes. First verse, set the atmosphere after that first verse with something like this. Final verse. I do love how pretty this element here is. Great guitar work, just so gentle on the ears. A sense of whimsy once again. Like an early morning rise. And as this one comes to a close, we're about to enter, in my opinion, the best track on the album, which is The Court of the Crimson King, essentially the title track. Talk about epic. This track has maybe the most epic build-up and payoff of the whole album.
Shattered by the sun.
And again, the sense of smoky drama. Greg Lake. That frilly flute there is beautiful. Oh, what a display of vocal power. This choir. And this Crimson King just already feels so majestic with just the presentation there. You can't see him, yet you could feel that power. Has like a royalty kind of instilled in it. And I love this rapid switch up here. Love the punchiness of those drums. We drop. Oh, Michael's drum is kind of stumbling over itself. Love Robert Fripp's acoustic there. So powerful and angelic. Feels like a ray of light beaming on this Crimson King. Radiant in his energy. I'd argue this is probably the proggiest of the whole album. You know, it really does play with the song structure in a way that is super influential to prog rock music going forward. Same could be said for the opener, but this one to me just does it super well. Ian McDonald, take it away. Almost prancing. And right away, there's like this kind of ominous atmosphere brewing here. Certainly a sense of fear. Oh. Such a sudden kind of drop. And then maybe you think it's over. The madness has come to an end. A little bit of a playful turnaround. Never been quite sure what the Crimson King represents. However, given the album's themes of war and, you know, the Vietnam kind of madness of the time, maybe the Crimson King represents the powers that be, kind of orchestrating this blood-fueled war. It gets so crushing here. It's almost nauseating. That kind of grating, alarm-like sound. Incredible drum work there from Michael. Once again, a killer on the entire album. And just like that, I think it comes to an end. I don't remember if there's anything else. I think it all just reaches the zenith of sound as they all cascade into one another. I think that's it. There's 20 seconds left. Oh. I don't remember this. I'm not, I'm not fond of that. Bit of a horror finish there. That does it for In the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson. Incredibly magnificent, influential, important prog rock LP. Arguably the most important prog rock album. Kicked off the entire genre, essentially, or at least got the ball rolling on the whole thing. And while I don't think it's necessarily perfect front to back, like I said, I think Moonchild really struggles to even justify its runtime after the past 3 minutes or so. The rest of this thing is essentially perfect. Epitaph is great, super theatrical, super epic, feels very emotional in its weight. I Talk to the Wind is a much softer, sweeter listen. It definitely feels a bit more lighter on the ears, while still having a sense of melancholy and depression seeping within. 21st Century Schizoid Man, obviously incredible, just a crashing epic, really just shows off what the capabilities of prog rock are from the very get-go. And then, of course, that closer, The Court of the Crimson King, to me really feels like the ultimate kind of track here. It's 10 minutes. It's pretty grand in its execution and runtime. It pulls it off incredibly well. It doesn't feel like it meanders or doesn't feel like it drags in any way. And I love just the continual setup up to that, climax of the Crimson King title drop. Incredibly powerful, just album in general. Do I think it's perfect? Again, not particularly. I do think there's some drawbacks here and there, but for the most part, this is essentially a perfect album by most people's standards. I just think Moonchild is the only one that I'm not too fond of. I still love, though. I do think the lyrics and the delivery of such lyrics, the vocals, superb. Just as strong as anything else on the album. So I think most people are gonna skip Moonchild though after that verse ends, that second verse. But for the most part, though, incredible album. And super excited to check out the rest of the King Crimson discography. So if you want to see that, if you want to hear me, ramble on and listen to the rest of the King Crimson discography onward from this point, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit like, follow along in listening to every album with myself. If you want to see me react to all of these completely unedited, you want to hear the full run through of each album as I listen to them, check out the Patreon down below. It's in the description. It's only $5 a month, and you'll get every single album reaction I have done this year completely unedited. So that's not only King Crimson, that's the entire Pink Floyd discography you can listen to on my Patreon, completely unedited. Just hear all my thoughts there, as well as every new album I've covered this year and the Bjork discography as well, and also right now the Cocteau Twins discography alongside King Crimson. So there's a lot of content there for $5, in my opinion. However, if you don't want to subscribe to that, if you don't want to follow along in the unedited content, then of course you could just stick around here and you'll get every reaction for free, completely edited, of course, but hopefully you'll follow along for the ride. I'm excited for this one. I'm excited for King Crimson. Been wanting to cover them for quite some time. But as always, my name is Randy Joe. I appreciate you watching, and I'm signing off.